after the novelty turned to blurred vision and headaches.
This is one of the cameras that they'll be using, and this complex mechanical arrangement enables these two lenses to move in and out depending on how close to the camera the object is that's being filmed. Now, there comes a point when the lenses can't move any closer because they're actually touching one another. So, sophisticated though this system seems to be, it is actually operating under limitations. Limitations they've overcome with camera number 2 over here. With this arrangement, the two lenses can actually overlap one another because one of the cameras is mounted horizontally, the other is mounted vertically. And separating the two, a sheet of glass at 45 degrees. This splits the beam of light coming from whatever is being filmed. Half the light passes to one camera, half to the other. And although this marginally affects the exposure, the results that this unit should produce will be very interesting indeed. By moving one camera in relation to the other, the two pictures can be lined up through the viewfinder with just the correct displacement. Back in the days of 3D films, slight misalignments left many with headaches.
At first we thought that will be the case with television too, but there is one big difference between movie pictures and television, and that is that in television you can have a complete control of what you are going to pick up. Whereas in film you have to wait till it is developed and so forth before you see what mistake you are making.
So you'll avoid headaches on the television?
That's right, because 3D pictures are so close to reality, you see, that any error you make, any mistake you make will cause a headache.
And this complex rig has been designed to eliminate even the slight misalignment of the two cameras, which could be enough to put viewers off 3D TV for good.
Ja, de här kommer ni att behöva ett bra tag framöver när ni ska titta på Titt in, Titt ut TV. Det vet vi om framtiden, och vi vet också att de svartvita bilderna på färg-tv-mottagarna, de kommer ni också få stå ut med ett bra tag framöver. Det är nämligen ingen direkt framkomlig väg inom forskningen som visar på någonting annat just nu. Det här tredimensionella visandet världen runt över, ja, det har gett oss besked att den här nya generationen som inte såg den här sortens modefluga på 50-talet på biograferna, de tycker om att titta på tredimensionella bilder i tv. Den tyska satsningen i våras, den blev överväldigande. 12 miljoner glasögon såldes fastän det bara gick ut på regionalnätet. Och i USA, ja, där har det senaste året sålts 40 miljoner sådana här glasögon. Och det är 70 stationer drygt i USA som har introducerat tredimensionell tv. I USA, ja, där har man också skapat en ny lins på biografprojektorerna. Och det gör att många fler biografer kan bättre och billigare visa 3D-tv. Och det visar framåt att producenterna kanske kommer att skapa fler nya filmer av det här slaget. Framförallt då kanske skräckfilmer. Frankrike kommer med sin satsning i höst. Engelsmän och tyskar fortsätter och söker samarbetspartner. Och här hemma i Sverige, ja, här fortsätter vi i tvåan några veckor framöver och visar vackra kvinnor bland annat och andra monster. Själv tänker jag ungefär i likhet med Orson Welles försvinna på något effektfullt sätt. Jag kan ju försöka att gå upp i rök med de här nya hjälpmedlen till exempel. Titt in, titt ut, TV.
In several research labs around the world, work is advancing on full-colour 3D television.
The principles, a separate picture for each eye, remain the same, but the techniques are becoming more sophisticated. In front of each of these screens is a polarizing filter, a filter which allows wave motions of light in one plane only to pass through. This one is polarized horizontally, this one vertically. Watch what happens when I introduce a third filter between you and the two sets. It's obviously polarized vertically at the moment because only the right image is clear. Polarize it the other way, right disappears, left becomes clear. So, horizontal left, vertical right. If we equip our television viewer with a pair of spectacles with polarizing filters, one vertical, one horizontal, we have a possible way of separating the correct pictures to the correct eyes. Providing, that is, we've got some way of getting the two pictures in the same place at the same time.
And here's one answer. Two television screens with polarizing filters, one standing upright, one on its back. Between them, at an angle of 45 degrees, is a sheet of glass. The image from the upright screen is transmitted through the glass, and the image from the bottom screen is reflected in it, in the same place, so giving a 3D image.
Anyone recognize this? It's a viewer used by Barry Bucknell 20 years ago for positively the very first demonstration of 3D on British television. Inside here, a series of mirrors ensures that the left and the right eyes see quite different pictures. Though, of course, the television set had to be split down the middle to carry two different pictures side by side. However, as we'll see later, beam splitters like this are still making a valuable contribution.
In America, a team is developing an ingenious technique for transmitting two separate full-size pictures on one TV screen and separating them without coloured tinting. A pair of goggles are fitted with shutters capable of opening and closing very quickly indeed. When they're in fact connected up to a television set, the shutters are synchronised electronically with the TV receiver, which flashes left and right images very quickly. We can demonstrate the principle in the studio. For the fraction of a second the left image is on the screen, the left shutter is open, then onto the right and back again. In reality, 60 times a second, fast enough to fool the brain, the researchers hope. Rather like film, creates an illusion of movement from a series of still pictures.
Others aren't so sure, believing that such a wealth of information being fed intermittently to the brain won't generate depth, but confusion. What I've got here is a mock-up of a possible 3D receiver. This screen is a series of lenticules, tiny, almost cylindrical lenses, which take the two separate images from a left and right receiver, represented here by two slide projectors. We've coded the left one red and the right one green, and refract, bend those two beams along a series of quite different light paths. So if I put my head in the right position, it should be possible to demonstrate that all the red information intended for the left is going to that eye, and all the green information intended for the right is ending up in the right eye. Now, as you can see, I don't have an awful lot of freedom to move my head about, but here, in theory at least, is the makings of a full-colour TV receiver for which you could throw away your spectacles. But in the real world, this and other speckless ideas like fast vibrating mirrors deflecting separate images to each eye are, as far as broadcast television is concerned, hardly in the starting gate. Meanwhile, industry is already making valuable use of some of the other technology we've been examining tonight.
A team of divers in a disused quarry set out to test an underwater 3D camera devised by Marconi. Two cameras are mounted side by side in a special underwater housing. There's great potential for using this equipment to inspect pipelines in the North Sea or for other dangerous underwater work. Beneath the surface, the lenses become underwater eyes. For this test, there are some happy diving enthusiasts to operate the camera, but in practice it would be done by remote control.
That's fine. Right, okay.
The camera is linked by cable to the surface, so an operator sitting comfortably on dry land can view and record what's happening on videotape. Deep beneath the water's surface, the divers use this fuselage of a Second World War plane, originally put there for rescue organisations to practice on, but now a good example of how 3D could help in environments potentially hostile to man.
Okay, got it.
just under the water where man is practicing with remote control equipment, guided by television which offers 3 dimensions.
This is the sort of equipment which will service the inside of nuclear reactors. Capable of operating where no human can venture, this remote arm must nevertheless be guided. Without a clear idea of where the arm is, the operator could do considerable damage. This camera, with its beam splitter on the front, can indicate where the arm is in relation to what it's working on and to everything else inside the closed reactor. Thanks to its optics, the single camera viewing all this is actually carrying 2 separate pictures, a left and a right image correctly displaced. Through the viewing box, the operator sees the pictures separately through left and right eye, and from this interprets a composite 3D image. Guided by this versatile viewing arrangement, the operator can direct the controller to take the remote unit through each routine, positioning it just where it's wanted to test or maintain the reactor equipment. What's more, this routine can then become the basis of a computer program which in later operations can repeat the sequence entirely automatically.
So in map making, military intelligence, industry and engineering, 3D is already making a valuable contribution. Whether we ever see it on television depends on how much we want it and how much extra interest industry believes there'll be in television with a whole new dimension.
But remembering that black and white was fine until we saw colour, there'll be some at least who won't rest until television is a complete colour 3D reflection of the real world.
But that is a long way away yet. We'll see you next week back in familiar 2D, but before you put the glasses away, here's that rerun we promised you earlier. Just a taste of what television one day may have in store for us. Good night.
Good night.
Tredimensionella undervattensbilder, ja vi får kanske be om lite extra speciellt skarpa sådana från Horsfjärdens bottenregioner med tanke på titt in, titt ut alltså. Ja, det blir inte bara här i Fönster mot TV-världen som ni får möta tredimensionella bilder den här månaden. Hela november så har TV2 en satsning på den här sortens tittande i olika program. Och bland annat så får ni se en del gamla svartvita filmer från 50-talet. Och i en av dem så får ni träffa en amerikansk sexstjärna i en av hennes glansroller, Rita Hayworth i Miss Sadie Thompson.
You guys, Sadie's only got 2 legs. You want to wear it back?
Hey, no, I like to dance while I can. Say, how about it? You and me haven't cut one yet.
Not my speed, huh?
Well, just sit here and follow me.
Miss Thompson. I've been trying to place her. Has she ever stopped on this island before, Mr. Horn?
Not that I know of. How things back in the States, Doc? Any better?
In what way?
People still knocking themselves out?
Faster than ever.
Same old rat race. That's why I never went back after the war. Everything going slam, bang, hurry up, time is money, get it while you can, don't let up. For what? Money. And what's it get them? High taxes and a bunch of gadgets that don't bring nobody peace of mind.
You're quite a philosopher.
No, just lucky. Fell for a native girl and learned a thing or two.
I remember where I saw her. I'm sure of it now. Yes, there's no doubt of it.
No doubt of what, Alfred?
She's one of those women who worked at the Emerald Club.
What's that?
The plague spot of Honolulu. That girl worked there. She's a prostitute.
You shouldn't assume a thing like that unless you have proof.
Proof? I was with the police when they raided the place. I saw her there.
She might have come with a friend.
Men didn't bring women to the Emerald. They went there to find them. That club was an infamous trap for servicemen. I saw them coming in, all with one set purpose, never smiling.
All desire is sad when it must be bought.
I saw girls from all nations there. Entertainers. Harlots. The place was a sewer, but I finally forced the police to close it. The women were to be deported. Somehow this girl managed to escape.
You could be mistaken, have her confused with someone else.
It's obvious she's here to carry on her trade.
I don't see anything obvious about it.
Doctor, I've devoted my life to fighting corruption in these islands. I know the look of immorality when I see it.
I know the sound of intolerance when I hear it. Passing judgment on others without absolute proof.
Robert, please.
Excuse me.
Doctor, if a man had a gangrene in his foot, what proof would you need to cut it off?
Gangrene is a matter of fact. It can be seen. It's tangible.
So is evil.
To me, it has always seemed a matter of definition.
Evil is a fact, like right and wrong. I know what you think, Doctor, that there's no such thing as immorality, that everything is relative. I know what you and other men of science believe, what Freud and Adler and Jung have brought on the world, destroying moral values.
Now, just a minute.
Destroying moral values, leading people to believe that they're not directly responsible for their actions. But we are responsible. Each one of us must choose between good and evil. We must isolate evil, stamp it out, the way you fight an infectious disease.
Alfred, there's no need to get so upset.
I'm not. I simply know where I stand, on the side of right. Good night, Doctor.
Good night.
Mrs. McPhail, we'll see you in the morning. And of course, that invitation to visit the native hospital still holds.
I appreciate that, Mr. Davidson.
Just because Sadie's a breezy dame, what right has Davidson got to figure she's out of some joint?
I'm afraid he can't help it.
How do you mean, Doc?
Fanatics are often too obsessed by what they fight against to know why they're really fighting it.
Oh, you mean like a guy who's against drinking, but what he really wants is to hit the bottle?
Yes, yes. All of us have hidden desires which we disguise in one way or another.
Robert, why must you always be diagnosing everybody?
That put the lid on it.
Not quite. I still have one more diagnosis to make, and it's of you, my dear.
Me, Robert?
You've had a long day, and it's late. And so to bed. Good night, Mr. Horn.
Good night, Doc.
She taught school in Kansas City. She was cold and rather drab. So at all the local parties, she was not the one they'd grab. But she read a book and then came the transformation. She announced one night to people's consternation, the heat is on, the heat is on. You better not get near my lips tonight. I've got a kiss like a flame, and if you touch my lips you might ignite, and you would have yourself to blame. The heat is on, the heat is on. I want to know if men are mice, still want to wither on the bough. I might have formerly been cold as ice, but I'm a forest fire now. Got an awful lot of oats that haven't been sown. They might start a chain reaction and I might explode. The heat is on, the heat is on. You're gonna hear the sirens howl tonight. You're gonna see the building bounce, because the lady's on the prowl tonight, and it behooves me to announce the heat is on. Stipulate that my defenses are down. I'm spontaneous combustion in a satin gown. The heat is on, the heat is on. You're gonna hear the sirens howl tonight. You're gonna see the building bounce, because the lady's on the prowl tonight, and it behooves me to announce that the heat is on.
Välkomna till Vilnis vilda videoshow. De senaste effekterna inom titt-in, titt-ut-tv med den absolut modernaste laboratorieutrustningen. Ja. Nu kan ni ta av glasögonen igen, för nu är jag mitt gamla vanliga jag igen. Det var en väldig ballong till att smälla. Men den smällen passar väl bra att sätta punkt för den här veckans tittande på tredimensionella bilder. Nästa lördag är vi tillbaka igen med mer tredimensionella bilder. Och vi ska visa då den tyska satsningen, hur man gick tillväga i Tyskland. Wenn die Fernsehbilder TV-världen hette det där. Ja, det är ungefär när tv-bilderna blir plastiska, vad man nu kan mena med det. Och där är bland annat med en alldeles bedårande blondin, en fröken Ingrid Steger. Skynda nu på med glasögon igen. Kommer hon.
Also dreidimensional bin ich im Bild.
Und schon, Achtung, zeige ich Ihnen den allerersten, allergrößten, allerbesten Anaglyphen-Striptease. Anaglyphen-Striptease. Anaglyphen-Striptease der Welt. Hast du einen Busen, brauchst du keine Blusen. Willst du Männer necken, trenne dich von Röcken. Brauchst du noch mehr Trümpfe, verzichte auf die Strümpfe. Und als allergrößten Clou trennst du dich vom Letzten. Doch nun kann der Voyeur genauso wie der Zuschauer noch immer nichts erkennen. Anaglyphen-Striptease, Anaglyphen-Striptease. Allererster, allergrößter, allerbester Anaglyphen-Striptease der Welt.
Achtung, Achtung, eine Durchsage. Wem jetzt die Trennwand zwischen sich und die Dame stört, kann die durch einen einfachen Handgriff verschwinden lassen. Halten Sie bitte Ihre rechte Hand vor Ihrem rechten Brillenglas. Rechte Hand vom rechten Brillenglas. Und was sehen Sie? Keine Trennwand mehr.
Und ich möchte nun gerne, dass Sie sich das andere Brillenglas auch noch zuhalten, damit ich endlich hinter diesem Wandschirm hervorkommen kann. Bitte halten Sie sich beide Gläser zu. Wirklich beide. Sie auch. Denn wenn Sie das nicht tun...
Ni har väl händerna här nu? Håll dem då där till nästa vecka, för då kommer Ingrid tillbaka. Hej då!